Fucking
Welcome to another episode of the Prospective here on Tales from the Flipside. Aaron, roll that beautiful bean footage. Always wanted an excuse to say that in an introduction.
Nice.
Thank you all for being here today. Guys, introduce yourself. Red Hood from the top.
this is Red Hood Comic, your friendly neighborhood comic presser. Shout out to our other guys on the team that aren't here tonight. You know, couldn't make it. Hope everything's okay. You know.
And
Aaron?
and I'm Aaron Yee. You can catch me on Instagram or whatnot at YeeZyee. Let's see. This Saturday I'm gonna be breaking cards. I have some Bin Baller Topps Chrome to break. You know, celebrating the World Series. So go Astros. And then Sunday I have a Stray Dogs giveaway. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. And I am Chris Colbert, a.k.a. the Profiteer, a.k.a. the Dirty Flipper, a.k.a. the Speculator Don Dada, a.k.a. Mr. Make My Marvel, a.k.a. the Count of Monte Flipsto, a.k.a. Big Papa Pump and Dump. Just playing on that one. But yeah.
I like that one. Papa Dump.
For all my wrestling folks out there. Appreciate it. So yeah, having a great week this week. Selling comics. It has been a good time to have books and have them posted. New books going up. Hopefully soon as FedEx gets my box to me. 25 coming in from CGC. I might do an unboxing on one of the big ones that's coming back. Was able to get decently high grade on the ASM 50. But yeah, shout out to everyone in the chat. All of you watching live. Again, like I always say, like Jay-Z says, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. So on that note, let's get into it.
All right. Let's bring
Today's
up our
October
numbers.
28th.
It is.
Oh wow.
Was there something important for the
Nah,
state?
man. Nah.
Okay.
Well, I will say this. Tomorrow's my dad's Jesus. What is it going to be? His 70th birthday.
Oh my goodness, man! Happy birthday!
I got to double check my numbers. No. He'll be. Yeah, no shit. He will be 70 years old. Yeah,
dude, you better get him something nice, dude. That's a big deal, bro.
Yeah, 1951.
Yeah. You got to give him a GSX-1 or something.
You know what's funny is that my dad really isn't into comics, but he's the reason why I got into comics. He bought us and you know what's funny? He bought us he bought some issues the year that he and my mother the summer that he and my mom got married. He bought so this is 1977, and he just bought a random fucking it was Shang-Chi. It was a Shang-Chi comic. It was a Master of Kung Fu. Some random number, some random Hulk book, Hulk number 141 or some shit like that, or whatever was out at that time, or 241. What else did he buy? As things for us, because that was about the time that the whole speculate on comics was really started to kind of pop off. And he was like, "Oh man, these might put my kids through college." But he picked the most random shit that not worth a goddamn thing. We're talking quarter bit and father. And it was Black Lightning number 2, not even the number 1, the number 2. I was like, come on, Pops. You weren't even trying. I still have those books. They're still held together. They got an extra 10 staples in them because I beat the shit out of those as a kid reading them constantly. But yeah, so shout out to my Pops. Tomorrow's celebrating his 70th birthday. So.
Oh man, we have a lot more similar than you think. My dad was born in 1950.
Oh shit, nice.
Yeah. All right, but let's go ahead and move on to our number 10 book. At number 10, we have the Marvel Masterpieces collection by Joe Jusko, number 4.
Yeah, so I don't remember who put this on the list, but it is the first comic use of this image from the Marvel Masterpiece cards of the Wolverine versus Saber Tooth. And the latest being Wolverine number 17 is the most recent place where a version of this image has been used. Yeah, this is really just this is a cover play. This is Marvel masterpieces are going for pretty decent money now. They've had a new resurgence in the new generation, and also this is a smart play if you're just looking for classic, not to use the term iconic, but somewhat iconic, imagery from the '90s around Wolverine and Saber Tooth. They're coming, so get them on your list.
No, things are so different now, but back in the '90s, like nobody really picked these books up. It was like so different, but like that's the equivalent of like just seeing these variant covers like Delato, and this is like art, compared to what you were seeing like. And I hate to use that term, like bubblegum art from like the mid '80s, '90s type of stuff, but it wasn't like leveled up like these books were. But they were always like poo pooed and like, because they weren't in a lot of them weren't in continuity. It was just more about the cover. But that's the shit we're buying now with the modern books. Those variant covers and 1 in 10s and you know.
Well, I think it's a smart play too because, like,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, because they're recreating a lot of those masterpiece cards now with Just Go. So, I mean, why not get one of the original books?
Absolutely.
And then I want to say that there's a newsstand edition of this book, but you have to check the backs of these books to see if it's a newsstand or not.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's a good pick.
Yeah. I want to say I think Samson was really big on this book, but I'm not sure if he was the one that nominated it or if it was someone else. So
it seems like a book Samson would nominate.
Okay. All right. Moving on to number 9, we have Wakanda Forever. Number 1, the 3 connecting cover set.
Yep. So this is a Yasmin Putri connecting covers for the Wakanda Forever storyline that's focused on the Dora Milaje as special agents solving crimes with random heroes popping up from the Marvel universe. So the logic is that the World of Wakanda series that's coming to Disney Plus will probably actually play more similar in storyline to Wakanda Forever. So you get to play on potentially the world of Wakanda from a name perspective, and then you get to play on the actual content of the storylines coming quite possibly from these books. So it's a double-edged kind of play that you have going on between those two comics. But yeah, this is a great cover. We definitely know there was a point in what was like the late 90s, early 2000s where Black Panther books were just kind of trash. Let's be real about it. And this is some of the better material that came out after that time period of Black Panther's stories just being like just horrible to get through. So it's a solid read from what I remember, and it's just great cover art, ties to Disney Plus Spec. So all in all, probably a very smart play to go scoop these up if you can find them.
Yeah, I just want to say I think like connecting covers are pretty underrated if you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, because I mean, how many people actually sat there and put together like sets of these to all connect?
Absolutely, Aaron. Like if there was a better way, like to display them, like, and it wouldn't be that expensive if they sold something where almost like you have the 9 the cards that you can put nine in there. If they sold like a 3 a 3-pack where you could put all 3 of these and display it that way. I don't know. There probably is. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I know some people, like actually a guy sold Comic 2 pretty early on in me getting back into comics.
Here's a person that's putting the sets together.
Nice. Yeah. Used to make the display frames for comics. So he would do like, themed display, like frames and displays for CGC graded comics. And he would also make ones like to order for connecting covers.
Nice.
And like, no, you're absolutely right, because like, 2 or 3 covers, not so bad to like, grab all of those. I made the mistake of doing, what was it? The damn Into the Spider, like the
Oh,
The
yeah.
Spider
Oh.
Geddon, the Spider
Yeah.
Geddon connecting covers, and that was like 6 goddamn covers, and I was just like, God damn it! Like I'm already
My-
4 in now, might as well finish it. But like having to go, especially when that series started to like not like, so I was pulling the connecting covers, and then I was also pulling the regular issues to actually read the comic, and I was just
Yeah.
like. And then for it to not be that great of a storyline, I was just like, man, this is some bullshit because this is just Spider. It's the same storyline as the original Spider Verse. I was just like,
Yeah.
you motherfuckers, you made me pay double the money twice just to have the same story all over again.
Yeah,
But
I want to say when I got back in, I think one of the connecting sets I got was the Civil War 2.
Oh,
Which,
yeah.
yeah. So that started on issue 0 and ended on issue 8, and then they had like a post story where it had all the covers on one cover, and so
Like, no, I was
is-
gonna say like the
yeah.
Alex Ross stuff when he does connecting covers is pretty legit.
Yeah.
I will say the ones for House and Powers that dropped were pretty hot too.
Oh yeah.
Like the
I
Mark Brooks one.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, I wish like because I bought the connecting sets just to collect, and I honestly wish I had flipped them during that time period because like those were all hitting like super hot like after each one released, and then I held on to it because I was like these are kind of cool.
yeah, same
And
here.
then yeah, but who knows? It might come back around. Yeah.
You'll definitely once X-Men finally makes their debut, like people will be anything and everything X-Men, people will be like rushing to go buy. So, don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right. At number 8, we have Black Panther World of Wakanda #1, the Bustos 1 in 25 variant.
All right. So on this one, you have a Shuri Black Panther cover, which again, those are in kind of short supply, honestly. Like it is work to find good covers of her as the Black Panther. And unlike that, the other Black Panther 50th anniversary variants, this one is a 1 in 25 ratio. So it's going to be much harder to find. Once again, it was kind of during a time period where people weren't really buying Black Panther books. So finding these out in the wild is probably going to be not the easiest task. It's a dark cover, so it's going to show damage very easily. So getting this at high grade is definitely going to be a little bit of an effort. And once we, ultimately get, Shuri as Black Panther in the MCU, this book is definitely going to be one of those ones that everybody's going to be scrambling to get. All what happened when Kang was announced and people were going out there and paying dumb money for Avengers 267s and 269s. So definitely a book to be on the lookout for. Again, it also, being the first issue of World of Wakanda, again, as we've stated, so the storyline is a love story origin between Ayo and Anika. Again, not sure if we'll see that. I'm on good authority that Anika will be making her live action debut, and it's believed that Michelle Cole from I Will Destroy You and a couple other things on Netflix, comedic actress on television, will be playing the role of Anika. So yeah, I mean it's got a lot going for it. So this is actually should be much higher on the list, honestly, in my opinion, but it's a solid piece of spec. So
yeah, most definitely.
No, I mean, like it goes without saying, it's a very nice cover of Shuri. The colors are so vibrant, and it's a variant. If you're collecting hard to find variants, this one is really hard to find, man. So,
All right. And at our number 7 book, we have Fight Girls #1. So this was nominated by Phil from Vintage Comics and Toys, and in this book you have the first appearance of Xander Blackwater and Tora Winter. This is drawn and written by Frank Cho. So this is a survival game story where 10 women must survive 4 challenges on different planets against monsters and themselves. The winner rules the empire. AWA said to one of us at Tales at Baltimore Comic-Con that Fight Girls is going to market after the publication of the last issue in the run, which is next month. AWA staff believes that this could be a hit like Netflix Squid Game if it becomes a live action TV series. Beautiful women and amazing death scenes in a Hunger Games like TV series is a win for me. Kudos to Ninth Wonder for recommending the series to Phil. And
So
then
I was just gonna say, like, I was walking by the AWA upshot table, right? And there's that beautiful girl there. I know you saw her, Aaron, right? So, she told me hi, and like before I knew it, I spent like $40 and all these. And so I got the
No, don't do
the
it.
variant cover, and then I had to go and get this yellow one. But like she said, and you get to spin the wheel to see if you win some more comics. And
nice.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like AWA books personally. Like Cherry was a good read for me. Phil also wanted me to mention that there is a LA Galaxy Con variant for this book also. So that's something definitely to be on the lookout for.
now I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this. So like she had beautiful hands, right? And the way she was like touching the books, like that's like okay.
Well, at least she wasn't aggressive with the books. Like I've
No, man, it's
Yeah.
cool, but like Frank Cho's huge, man, and I wish I would have gotten a couple of these and got him to sign them, man. Like the
Yeah, but
lines were long, dude.
did you see that line for his like
Yeah,
him, Casada, Trish? Like they all had like huge Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
And then I mean, how many cosplayers did you see for Squid Games already?
yeah, that was
Like
crazy, right?
that was pretty fast. Like already to see like
They had that shit like so. It's funny. Like me and my girl were like, "Oh, easy Halloween costume," and like legitimately Googled like Squid Game costume. So they had a site that coincided with the release of the series where you can go buy the jumpsuits, the shirts, the masks, everything. They knew what they had, and they were like, "Oh shit, Halloween's right around the corner. Go ahead and make like Netflix official like clothing and shit to go along with this stuff also." But yeah, they were very ready. And on that same note of like the beautiful booth girls. That is the reason why I stay the hell away from Alex Ross's booth at any con. It's because it is staffed by nothing but like models, basically, and they don't know shit about comics, but they know how to sell you expensive ass artwork and comic books. And you will definitely you're not leaving out of his booth. Like, I mean, the signed copies, like the 9.8 copies of comics, are like bare minimum $400 or $500. The artwork, the lithographs, I think, are like 2 to 3 G's. And God forbid you actually buy like an original piece from like Alex Ross's booth, you're about to be out probably in the 15 to 20 grand range, bare minimum.
I guess I'll definitely hit up that booth once I hit the lottery. So
I mean, don't get me wrong, the shit's gorgeous, but like,
yeah,
man, like, yeah, I honestly, if I was a bigger Alex Ross fan, I probably would like sell a comic and pull the trigger on it. But like, yeah, it is like top quality. Like, it's like going into an art gallery when you walk into his booth at a major con. So
Yeah, but she identified this book and pointed at this before I talked to Phil, and she pointed at this book. She goes, I go, which one should I get? She goes, definitely this one. This one is going to be something. And I was just like, okay. And then
if they're smart, they train their people.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of one of the cooler things, I guess, about being a content creator. Like, just like going to these cons, we get to like mingle with a lot of different people and hear like I guess insider information almost, more or less. Like, I mean, yeah, it's just a lot of it's a lot of information to intake all at once. You know what I mean?
I'll definitely say this. This will be the last thing I say before we move on to the next book. Is here's a little bit of insider information, cornbread. When you get the opportunity, definitely volunteer to work at any one of these like major cons. Like, if you can, volunteer to work at a San Diego, or volunteer to be staff at Emerald City, New York, Baltimore. First off, you get to get in the con for free. You just have to sacrifice a little bit of your time, but you get plenty of time to go get on the floor early. Also, you may run into opportunities to have like casual conversations with creators before things pop off. You might be assigned to be an escort or whatever it may be. I
Escort.
regularly, yeah, like you can basically
Oh.
like you just kind of walk around. No, you walk around with them. You basically, they have handlers, and you're like making sure that they get to where they need to, and things of that nature with their handlers in many cases, or make sure they have their badge access if it's like San Diego.
And then just Baltimore Comic Con is now the official Tales from the Flipside meetup. So see you next year.
Yeah, but yeah, all that being said, though, what Aaron was saying is also very, very pertinent. Is that you get opportunities to hear them in casual conversations. I got a chance, at San Diego of 2 years ago to hang out with Snyder and Capullo before they did their little private event, which I was also a part of. And that is where I heard they let it got them a couple of drinks, got them sauced up, and they let it slip about Undiscovered Country being option. They let it slip about Dark Knight, Death Metal coming out. Like they were just all of the information you ever wanted to know about what was happening. They definitely let it go. Like if you can catch them in casual conversation, what you plan to do with that information, is up to you. But it's out there, and opportunities like this are very, very smart to take advantage of if you get the chance to.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 6. At number 6, we have Shuri number 3, the second print.
So, again, this is from Shuri's first solo series that came out in, 2019. This is the second print. It is a all black back cover, like solid wall-to-wall black. So this is a hard 9.8. These were not handled very well. I remember my LCS definitely could give two shits about the second printing, and manhandled these when they came in at one of the shops I used to frequent. And so, we know that she's going to take on the mantle of the Black Panther in the upcoming film. This has an extremely low print run compared to the number 1 and number 2 second prints. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those. If you're looking for solid Shuri covers and books that have a little bit more rarity. Again, we talked about this last night. You got to have rarity with demand, though, which there definitely will be a demand for Shuri content once we get to Black Panther 2 finally releasing after these delays. So yeah, this is kind of one of those. If you find it, scoop it up, see if you can get a fight chance at a 9.8. It'll definitely pay dividends to have it.
I think I've passed up on this in a back issue bin, and I'm kind of kicking myself now.
So, yeah, I definitely have to.
Like this, the first 5 or 6 issues, man, the art is just phenomenal, and then being in a second print, you just if you're collecting and you're looking at your LCS, look at the books that just look expensive, and pick it up and say, is this a thing? Because this book just looks like it's valuable. Without anything going on, it just looks expensive.
Yeah, this run in general, honestly, even though content wise it was a little on the weak sauce from the actual storytelling perspective, but what happens in it, there's a couple cool little gems here and there of character interactions. Like book 6 is the first time of her meeting Miles Morales,
right?
That could definitely. We already know that she's going to be ushering in Riri. So who's to say that maybe there won't be that future connection down the line? Again, this is Galaxy Brain long-term Spec, but hey, maybe it makes sense to just look at this entire run, actually do what we should be doing and reading the books and figuring out what happens inside them, and investing in this series. It didn't last for super long, so. Yeah, get out there, see if you can find these in back issue bins and make you some money.
What if there's too many problems with her? Like you were saying that she's got PTSD from the accident. What if she can't go on?
Well,
I'm just saying, what's plan B?
Recast. It ain't like Marvel ain't never done it before.
No, recast or insert.
That's true.
Michael B. Jordan.
See, again,
is that in play? You think?
I honestly don't think so. Like, so from what I know of what's happening in production right now, if Michael B. Jordan has shown up, he has not been seen by anybody, like in the part of the country, not to expose where my people are working on production. Um, with that being said, apparently it's going to be a battle for the cow type of misdirection the whole entire movie. So you're constantly going to be shown people or presented with people who may like they're going to trick you the whole entire movie on who's going to be the next Black Panther, which ultimately ended up being Shuri, from what I've heard. Um, but yeah, with everything that's going on with her and her being kind of between the injury, her being generally kind of a problem child when it comes to like, because it's one thing to have your opinions about vaccination, this ain't that type of show for that. But it's another thing when you're trying to indoctrinate people on set, and that is apparently what she's kind of been doing, and trying to promote people to not be vaccinated or not wear masks and doing kind of stupid shit like that. And that eventually does become a liability for bigger Disney.
Not only that, you're a distraction.
Yeah, exactly. And you not just be real about it, she ain't that good of an actress. I mean, you can be replaced. Anybody can be. Like, the only person we've seen it really done with at this point was Terrence Howard. But the shit happened. Like, all of a sudden, you come in for the next movie, and Don Cheadle's walking in. It's like, I'm here, deal with it. And that felt like a double-edged sword to us as the audience as well, being like, yeah, that other dude's out. I'm the new roadie now, so get with it. So yeah, with that being said, if they're probably still going to go the course because they filmed too much at this current time to change course and go with another actress or even change the story. Like, they've just done too much at this point. Don't mean though that in future movies that they just won't be like, and your new Shuri is played by insert random British African actress. Like, it's just there's plenty of them out there, and they're all hungry to get into a major movie.
I get it, but it's so dangerous right now because, Black Panther's a major property now, right? And it made so much money the first time around. Like, if she can't go, it, because familiarity with that actress, and then they try and put somebody else in.
I mean, it's always dangerous.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not unheard of. I mean, we saw it through the greater part of the 90s with Batman. Like, every other Batman movie had same continuity, different actor. And we still went and saw those movies for the most part. It'll be a little bit of a shakeup, but people will get over it. Yeah. I mean,
all right,
I'll still go see them.
All right, before we move on to the number 5 book, I want to thank the 112 people that are currently watching with us live. Yeah, thank you for watching, and then also don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you're enjoying the content that you're seeing. But let's move on to number 5, and so we can get for the home stretch. All right, at number 5 we have Strange Tales Volume 1, number 179.
All right, so this is one of my picks. So spoiler alert for the post-credit scene of Eternals. If you do not want to know what happens in the post-credit scene of Eternals, stop watching now.
Oh wait, right, so you're on a Spec channel, so
yeah. So now that I've said it, apparently, we all know about the big spoiler that is Star Fox arrows in the post-credit scene. Well, also Pip the Troll is with him as well, voiced by Patton Oswalt. So there you go. This is the first appearance of Pip the Troll. It is like a cheapy book. Like, this is in high grade, like you're talking maybe $100 tops. Probably as cheap as $10 if you want a copy. It looks like somebody wiped their ass with it. Probably in that $25 to $75 range is probably going to be that sweet spot. Again, not an extremely expensive book, not extremely expensive in relatively high grades. But a MCU character appearance is the MCU character appearance. And Pip the Troll has connections to Adam Warlock. This is his first appearance. He's going to be apparently a Howard the Ducky butt buddy character with Arrows / Star Fox. So yeah, I mean, you're probably asking yourself Pip the Troll, that can never matter. Well, Groot and Rocket the Raccoon didn't matter either. And their books don't necessarily reflect that per se, but people love those characters, and who knows? Pip the Troll might resonate with a group of people. If nothing else, it'll be an easy flip. I honestly do think that people will want that book. So yeah, with that being said, go out there and find these because they're out there. They're not hard to find. There's a decent bit of copies on eBay. If you want to not have to pay, eBay premiums, go out there and hunt your LCSs. But yeah, Pip the Troll. I think there's a little bit of money there to be made. So go get it.
No, it's a good pick, man. It's like hunting for somebody's rookie card, So you got Pip the Troll as his rookie card. That's it right there, and Rocket and Groot. I remember when Guardians was on the right before it was coming out. I mean, everything Rocket and Groot was flying. So Patton Oswalt is a good actor and he's funny. So you got to think that they're going to make this a pretty hysterical character, and Marvel's real good at doing casting good voice actors and very good with their digital characters. So like he could be digital, or it has to be, right? So
I think he is a mocap.
Or do you think they're going to cast him live action to play Pip the Troll?
So I think it's mocap. I think it is voice, a little bit of face work to make it look like him. But Pip the Troll, he has haunches. So I mean, unless you're gonna have somebody walking around like that, and he's also generally like a short character.
Right.
Again, this is it's funny because this is part of the leaks that nobody really gave a shit about. It was all about Harry Styles as, spoiler alert, it was all about Harry Styles as Star Fox was the big thing that everybody cared about. But yeah, also in that scene, it's him being introduced by Pip the Troll to the surviving Eternals when they're up in space looking for more of their kind. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it going forward. But yeah, I mean, I will put money on it that this book will suddenly be like a $200 book the week of release, because people don't really pay attention to this information until everybody knows, and then it's like, oh well, now we got to go get this book. So
it's a great cover too, man. It's just cool.
I mean, it's good Bronze Age. I mean,
hell yeah.
Bronze Age didn't get the type of love that I think it should. So here you go.
Yeah. All right. At our number 4 book, we have Fantastic Four, number 56. Volume 3.
All right, so this is a 2002 book and it's the first Marvel cover art from fan favorite Gabriel Delgado. It's one of the first times that Ben Grimm's Judaism is not only revealed but featured as a main part of the storyline. The sales of roughly 46,000 copies. And there's only about 13 copies on the census, 11 9.8. And there's apparently a very, very hard to find newsstand edition from this time period as well. Again, it's just going into more complexity of these characters, priming for, what will ultimately be the Fantastic Four. They're coming. It's not even maybe it's no, was it John Watts is writing the script for it and maybe directing as well. And John Watts, for anybody who isn't a big Marvel film fan, he's responsible for all of these Spider-Man movies that we have of the MCU. So it's going to have that type of sensibility to it. So yeah, I mean, at this point, Fantastic Four keys from the Silver Age and Bronze Age are probably out of a lot of people's price ranges. This is still a great opportunity to start picking up those low-hanging fruits of potential storyline payoffs. We've seen it already with the likes of World War Hulk and One More Day, that storylines from more recent history can definitely pay dividends in books popping off. And storylines do matter. People do care about having the stories, the books that are the stories that are the source materials for these movies. So again, it's all possible.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our number 3 book. We have Infinity Countdown, Adam Warlock, #1, second print.
All right. So again, Adam Warlock play. We know that the actor has been cast, and generally speaking, outside of his 4 or 5 first appearances, and the stuff that happened in the '80s, Adam Warlock books start to get a little thin. So this is kind of just getting into more non-conventional Adam Warlock. This is a Meg Alred variant cover. It's a second printing. It's pretty hard to find second printing at that. So again, it's a cover play for the most part, but as we've already discussed, cover plays when you start getting into once a character pops, cover plays are all day long, good money. Like who would have thought that Avengers 267 or 269 or Avengers 6 that Alex Ross cover would have been worth shit, and now people want them because they're Kane covers. And so once people get out of the realm of or can't afford his first appearance or his early appearances because he's got 5 first appearances, people are going to be looking at that other things that happened during that Adam Warlock series, things from Infinity Watch, things from this series, things from that other Infinity Countdown cover with basically the new Guardians of the Galaxy team. Also, for anybody who hasn't played the Guardians of the Galaxy game, Adam Warlock is in it, spoilers, and also Magus as well. So Marvel has a tendency of doing this priming job when they're, about to really lean into a character. So for people who are doubting the longevity of Adam Warlock, being like, oh, he could be a one and done. Yeah, it's possible. Probably not going to be a one and done. Realistically, again, Galaxy Brain long-term Spec might be part of the makeup of the new Guardians of the Galaxy team. Because those character contracts, they've been around for a long time, and it's time to start thinking about, refreshing that lineup.
Well, I was going to say real quick, I mean, Marvel Cosmic books don't seem like to be a bad bet right now, honestly. If you really think about the grand scheme of things, that's something that, more people should be paying attention to, especially to get ahead of everything instead of just waiting for the last possible minute and then seeing razor thin profit margins. I would start jumping on stuff ahead of time while stuff is still cheap.
Marvel Cosmic, I mean, if you're not putting the dots together already, their world building in a way like something
Galaxy
big
building.
There you go, galaxy building.
Yeah.
They're going to take this as far as they can. I mean, Eternals, it may seem like a one-off, or it was done purposely. They've got to show you this, so the next time they get there, you already know where you're at. So, yeah, I mean, so these low-hanging fruit, like Chris was talking about, these Adam Warlock books, I mean, scoop them up. There's also a trading card variant one of Adam Warlock that is, if you see it, pick it up.
Yeah,
Because,
I mean, so
yeah,
I was gonna say last little bit of cornbread about the Cosmic. So things that you should be thinking about, realistically. So we have the Eternals, and whether or not it's a successful movie at all, it's making for the bigger galactic universe of the Cosmic Marvel stuff. You have characters that kind of bridge that gap of Marvel Cosmic type stuff with rumors of Shumagorev coming. You have Adam Warlock. You have Pip the Troll. You have you have Star Fox. You have potentially Nova coming. There are so many shit. The Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four spend 99% of their time bouncing around doing galactic stuff. The X-Men, let's be real about it. Most of their stories are them doing more cosmic stuff than terrestrial stuff. Hell, most of what's happening in this Hickman run is them hanging out in space and New Mutants going out and hanging out with the Shi'ar Empire, and there's rumors of Lilandra's sister or aunt or whatever. What's her name? Something Bird from Captain Marvel or Ms. Marvel's villain.
I forgot.
Yeah, but there's rumors of her potentially popping up in in the Marvels potentially, or other characters like that. Like we have only, I mean, shit, like Hulkling is, the leader of one of the, the galactic empires
Warbird.
in, Warbird, you have Hulkling, there are so many characters that if you were reading the tea leaves, or Deathbird, there we go. Yeah, so if you're reading the tea leaves, there are so many potential avenues
Warbird.
that Marvel can start expanding into with their greater universe, because like keeping this stuff on Earth and terrestrial is just going to make for not great stories. There's just too many people that have to be contended with, and wars will just battles will be very short if everybody's doing their fighting on Earth. So yeah, start thinking big picture, start thinking galaxy brain, start looking at these bigger Marvel galactic books and how they can tie together with what's already been laid, what foundation's already been laid.
All right, let's go on to our number 2 book. We have Ghost Rider Blaze Spirits of Vengeance number 6 from 1993.
All right, so we've got some amazing Adam Kubert Venom cover here. This has been creeping up in value. Again, generally just because of people specking on Venom and looking for any. Again, this is a prime example of Venom pops, and people start looking for tertiary, secondary type of stuff where Venom, and you got a crossover between Venom and the Ghost Rider. There's a lot of speculation that the Ghost Rider will be making his MCU like live action MCU not television debut in Doctor Strange 2, which will be potentially segueing into a potential Midnight Suns type of content. There's been rumors and whispers about that. It all makes sense for the direction. The fact that we're getting all of these like Darkhold stories coming out in Marvel as we speak right now, like everything's got like again, as I keep saying, Marvel primes the pump. So if you start seeing random characters getting their like time in the sun again, it's like because they're getting you ready for them being in live action. And they're like the real telltale. If you see them drop a character's, if they re-release a character's and do a facsimile print, or either do a $1 reprint of a character's first appearance, they're coming to the fucking MCU. Like they're priming the pumps that are like, oh, person who was born the last 10 years or last 20 years who has no idea who this character is, here's an opportunity for you to get up to speed on this character. Or when the movie drops and it's successful, they go, oh, well, we got some books here on the shelf that you can buy that correlate to the comics. Whether or not that actually works out is neither here nor there, but their logic is sound in trying to set that up. So again, this is a perfect scenario of a Venom's Ghost Rider combination. It's a great cover. It's a predominantly dark black cover, so God knows this is going to be a hard 9.8. So yeah, this is just kind of one of those like. Also, let's see what else is happening in this bad boy as well. Yeah, it's really just it's a great cover play, and it's a dark, hard to get near mint copy. So,
all right, before we move on to the number 1 book, I have to ask Chris and Joe, Adam Kubert or Andy Kubert? Who do you pick?
I honestly am more of an Adam fan.
Yeah.
Because
I have to say Andy.
Oh man.
I mean, both are talented, don't get me wrong, but like their styles are slightly like different from each other, that like they stand out. I don't know, just something about Andy's work I like a little bit more. Like Adam's work, he can over exaggerate a little bit too much for my liking.
Yeah, it's almost like with Adam, you're going to get like Michael Bay, like just over the top kind of. But that's what the 90s was, and that's what I remember him for,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, does that make sense? I mean, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I like his work, don't get me wrong. It's just like I prefer Andy's a little bit more. I think it'll stand the test of time.
Well, I mean, they both of their work feels like it was a segue off of Jim Lee. It was like, because it's funny because like you look back at a lot of those guys who came up during the 90s and came off of like a Jim Lee, and how because you basically can look at like the Kuberts, you can look at Capullo, you can look at Christ, who am I blanking on? But he was in that like post McFarlane, like he basically was like they were like, well, we don't have McFarlane anymore, so do McFarlane. Like you can do McFarlane, so do McFarlane. I'm blanking on what the dude's name is, but like he was one of those people. It's like these are the guys who, until they found their kind of like their style per se, they were just kind of doing their best imitation of the guys who came before them.
Gotcha.
And so I don't know, like Adam gives me like very much so like Jim Lee vibes in his early work until he eventually found his voice. And I mean, some of my favorite covers, like I'm a big Wolverine guy. So some of my favorite, like me growing up in the 90s and pulling issues in the 90s of like Wolverine's comics, like that was Adam. Like that was Adam's work. So no, it's not Tony Daniels. Eric Larson. Yep, there you go. Eric Larson was basically doing it. Yeah, he was doing his best like McFarlane impression. Like that is what that was. And until he found his own voice, and the same with Capullo and McFarlane as well. It was like until he found his voice, he was very much so just like, all right, well, I can make my stuff look a lot like McFarlane, and people will pay me to do that, including McFarlane himself being like, yo, man, draw this Bond shit because I'm out. So,
all right. And for our number one book this week, we have Power Man and Iron Fist number 66.
All right, so this is getting into the second appearance game. Last night we talked a lot about Iron Man 14. This is the second appearance of Saber Tooth. Again, if you can afford to go track you down a copy of Saber Tooth's first appearance, hell, even in the 8.5, it's still
That was good.
Yeah, that was a good one. Even in an 8.5, go get you like a first appearance of Saber Tooth. But if you want to try and like chase this down in a 9.8, it's not a bad play. Saber Tooth, like as I said last night, you can't really do Wolverine without doing Saber Tooth. Like they are very much so a peanut butter and jelly combination. So, with that logic, if you can't afford to get his first appearance, then get a second. Get his, his second cover appearance also happens in this series as well. Like he very much so was a Iron Fist character until they repurposed him for the X-Men.
That's a good pick. That's a real good pick. Like,
yeah.
What does that book go for in a 9.8, Chris?
That's a good question. Let's find out. So let's see. Power Man and Iron Fist. Let me head over to GPA real fast. Should have already had it up. Apologies to the fans.
Got my Flipside shirt. See that, Aaron? Did you get one of these? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's see. Power Man, Iron Fist, 66. All right, so last sale in the 9.8, drum roll, was $310 in August. So they don't sell often. Let's see what the census looks like on this book. Yeah, there's only 63 copies in existence in 9.8. Universal, there's 2 signature series. There's 117 9.6s and 92 9.4s. So at $310, if you can find one, I mean, there's only 63 in existence. So if you can find one, this ain't a bad play for a 9.8. Let's see what's popping on eBay right now.
But yeah, Joe, I did get a shirt from the Flipside.
Yeah, you probably got like 5 or 6 of them, dude. Everybody loves you. Dude. Here, have a shirt, Aaron. Here's another one.
I actually walked. Okay, so big shout out to Coco, Commander Cobra on Instagram. She made me 2 shirts for the books I sent her, and then it's one is the Mint 10, like in the CGC
oh, that's
label.
where you got it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the other one is the newsstand direct with the Spider-Man heads on it. The
Nice.
one that like Mel wears. And then Shortbox gave me a shirt. Tails gave me a shirt. Like, yeah. It was a crazy weekend. I mean,
Whatever.
I didn't expect to walk away with so many shirts.
Whatever.
Nice. So I will say I'm
still waiting for the red hood.
Oh, you want one? You better wear it. If I send you a shirt, you
You
better
know,
wear it. I'll send you a hat. You like a hat? I got Nico's roommate. I got to send him out some swag.
cool.
Yeah.
I'll
I'm
send
sorry,
you some
Chris.
books to press.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry, Chris.
No, I was going to say there are currently no 9.8s available on eBay. There's one, or no CGC 9.8s available on eBay. There's one CGC or CBCS 9.8 that is on auction right now. And since we've been talking about the book, just went from like a $5.50 on 4 bids, on like 3 bids, to $8.50. So I think somebody went out there and started looking. So yeah, I mean,
That's a good
go out,
pick.
go out there and watch that auction. By no means it ain't nobody connected to the channel, but hey, this might not be a bad play. I may try to make a go at it, or I may just try and track down or trade for a.
No, because you can already see, like, if you go and try and find them, they're probably going to be beat up because nobody really kind of like speculated, hey, that's Saber Tooth second, you know? I'm
Yeah.
sure there was a few, but like, I mean, as the years go on, you know, these books
Well, I
don't
mean,
stay. Yeah. You
well,
know.
I mean, what was it? It was the first fight between Wolverine and Saber Tooth was 212, Uncanny 212, and that was let's see. So
Was it that, or was it Wolverine 10?
So Wolverine. It's not Wolverine 10. I wish it was, but because I've had so many of those. I've also had quite a few 211 or 212s. Yeah, it's the one that comes after Mutant Marauders. Yeah, so it's 212.
Okay.
Because 212 came out in what year was that?
Eight? Was it 80? 79?
86. Yeah, and Wolverine 10
Oh,
came
wow.
out. Wolverine 10 came out in 89. So yeah, so this predates Wolverine 10 by about 3 years.
Okay.
Excuse me. So yeah, this is the first battle between the two, and so his second appearance came out in 1980. So that means that it was almost 6 years before, like between the time of 6-7 years between his first appearance and when he was made into Wolverine's quintessential like villain. So that's probably like nobody was checking for him in the same way that like nobody really gave a shit about Wolverine until they made him a part of the X-Men. So, those it's just that Hulk 181 was just massively printed. But if it was like, if the print numbers were more similar to what happened with Iron Man 14, there'd be a lot higher value.
Iron Fist, right?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, Iron Fist. Yeah, what happened with Iron Fist 14 and its print run numbers at that time? I think you would have. I think we see quite different values when it comes to Wolverine's first appearance. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Also, is that there's a 6-year gap between people caring about the character. So those books were not taken care of. Nobody gave a shit. And yeah, so go out there and buy it.
All right, and then we had previewed this yesterday. Our roundtable discussion. I really don't have any slides because we don't want to put people on blast, right?
Yeah.
But what was the topic again, Chris?
So it's kind of, I'm trying to think of an eloquent way of saying this, but do you guys remember back in the 80s and the 90s when you used to have the very special episode of a TV show where they would talk about like drug abuse and like, whatever was going on with the characters in the show, and like little Michelle would find out her friend like was getting beat on by their parent, like that type of shit. Well, this is going to be a very special episode of the Prospective.
Is knowing half the battle?
Yes. So today we're going to kind of be discussing like engaging with new members in the hobby. I've noticed recently that Wonder Comics. I've noticed recently in like the Facebook groups and on forums and stuff, and it's been a thing since like my time. And I have the benefit of being a comic book guy, being a sneakerhead, and also being a card freak. So I've spent my time in quite a few hobbies that are not forgiving at all to new members in the hobbies. And it's something that, especially in the comic book hobby, is really a problem. Like people come for the necks of new collectors and make a lot of assumptions about what is common knowledge to a new collector. And one of the things I've seen in groups and stuff where like people, they deem people to be asking dumb questions, and they're like, "Oh, Google that or whatever." And people come in and like don't know the values of their books, and they like ask a question like, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out prices on this book. Can anyone help me? Where should I go?" And you always get that one asshole who's just like, "Oh, you should Google that," or it's like it's so easy. You can just look it up on. And the thing I come to realization is that we take for granted things that are common knowledge in our hobby. Like case in point, uh, like again, I've been a collector of multiple things, so I know how to do a sold search on eBay for the thing I'm looking for. I know how to grade comics, so I know how to basically say, okay, for this raw copy of this book, looks like they're selling about this much money. I should probably price my book at here prior to me having access to like paid pricing guides. But if you don't know those sort of things and you're not a regular eBay user, you've never sold anything before, and you just like fumbled your way into a collection, you don't know to go look up sold prices. Like case in point, my girlfriend, very intelligent woman, before she met me, didn't know shit about anything collecting, and so she didn't know how to do a reverse search on eBay for sold prices. She didn't know where to go to even start thinking about like things. And her father's a collector. Like her father is a collector of you know pipes, watches, trains. And so if he were to like pass away, she would have had no idea how to like price any of that stuff. And you know what she probably would have done? She probably would have quickly done a search, gone to a Facebook group, and be like, "Hey, I've got all this stuff from my father recently passing away. Can somebody help me with pricing it out?" And people will jump into people's shit with both feet if they show up being like, "Oh, how do you not know what your stuff's worth? Do you not know how to do a Google search? Blah blah blah, this, that, and the other." And first off, has anybody ever tried to just do a search for pricing my comics on eBay? Or sorry, on Google? You end up with links to a bunch of paid sites that may or may not be accurate representation of prices. You won't get GPA. Like it's one of the lowest results. I don't think you don't get GPA until page 2 of Google. Um, you get like outdated and let's say you do know how to track down, or so you go to a comic book shop and they hand you an Overstreet. You know them shits are outdated the second they get printed. So like it's not as easy as we take for granted that this knowledge is just common knowledge.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Overstreet because, like, I think if you're going through a huge, vast majority collection, like of like over 1,000 books, I think Overstreet's a good like base point to start at, just so you can get an idea of a ballpark estimate of what is valued, and then you know what I mean. Then you can go deeper into, or like finding someone to help you go through, like, and find the important books throughout that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Red Hood, what's your experience with this? Like seeing people, on the forums and stuff, and like, interactions with new people in the hobby stuff. Let me hear it.
So, like, at my LCSs, that I different ones that I've gone to, and you're always going to see a rookie collector, and they'll ask, and the first thing I ask them is like, do you want to collect, or are you trying to make money, right? Because there's two different kinds of people. Like
Yeah,
they're trying to buy books to try and become a flipper, and like it's hard just to start off flipping books, right? I mean, just being green, like you've got to know a little something about something. Like, I would tell, or are we talking about if somebody has a massive collection, and where do they start? As far as like the values, because like it's two different things. Like, I get like that those assholes out there not helping people. I mean, you're always going to have guys like that,
yeah,
that are like son of a bitches. But like, I don't. Those types of people end up getting hit by cars and dying. So karma works itself out. Like I would say, if you're just starting off, and you want to get good at flipping, well, you you got to read, and you got to go on to forums, and learn how to speculate, and I mean, you got to educate yourself. I mean, that's the first thing. You know, it's like I tried to get into the shoe game a while back. Like it wasn't for me. You know, it's like man, you've got, if you're going to jump into that, you better know your shit, because I mean, there's a lot of fakes out there, blah blah blah. You know, but just educate yourself and do your research and watch Tales of the Flip Side, man. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean
I mean,
that's a thing. You
and
got
I
to
mean, I'm just
educate yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm putting it out there too because like one of the last things I want to see is people like it's one thing again if somebody's just trying to like come in and just like make money without being educated, and you know the community will just like the universe will sort those people out, but like you never know what somebody's scenario is, and people make a lot of assumptions being like, well, you know. Like this one guy kept posting, being like, "I feel like people just want to flex on like how, like the cool books they have because there's no way that they don't know what that book's worth." I was like, they absolutely could not know what that book's worth. Case in point, when somebody made a comment, it's like, you know, this channel's getting so dark. I was like, but case in point though, like if in my previous relationship, because I did not educate my previous girlfriend on like my collection at all, if I got hit by a fucking bus, she would have no idea what this shit is worth. Like no idea. And would probably go out there and make some real poor, would have made some real poor decisions trying to move my collection. I've seen it firsthand. Like I saw somebody come in to my old LCS with their brother's collection after they passed away, and they were just like, "Well, you guys were his LCS, so I just want to give you guys first dibs at it, and whatever you think is fair for this stuff." I'm sitting there pricing these books, and we're talking tens of thousands of dollars of slabs. And I'm like, well, luckily you came into a shop who's not going to rip you off. But yeah, these people have, in many cases, have no idea. Like when you get something in an inheritance, and you can try and do all the research in the world, but also take into consideration if you just lost a loved one, trying to figure out what their shit is worth is not your priority. So, like, you know, replace comics with their estate. And anybody here who's ever lost somebody and having to go through grandma or grandpa's like, you know, stuff to figure out what we're going to keep, what we're going to sell, what is this shit even worth, and stuff like that. And if you were fortunate enough to come across like old coins, old jewelry, cars, or whatever like that, and you don't know those hobbies, like you're going to go out there, and if you're one of those people who spends a lot of time on Facebook, that's probably going to be the first place you go check. It's just you're going to go Google comic book groups or comic books in groups. You're going to join a group and you're going to ask a question. So again, you getting flamed by, you know, the community. And also too, I want new people to come into the hobby. And we didn't all start out masters of this comic book shit. Like you had to learn from somewhere. And sometimes you make a bad buy or a poor decision, or you ask what can be a dumb question. And if people don't run you out of the hobby, you'll be around, you'll learn from it. And I much rather, I mean, again, I want to see LCS support it, but I don't want to see every single book end up in the hands of the LCS. I want to see people with these books, and I want to deal with people. It's a lot easier to negotiate with a regular person than it is to negotiate with LCS. If you run people off, where do you think those collections are going to end up?
I'll take it to the other side. So, like, they'll have a collection, but don't know how to grade their collection, and then have this unrealistic expectation that their collection is worth a lot of money. And then I witnessed firsthand, like, say, what are you talking about? This is worth X amount. Like, but the book is beat up, and like, and I'm just looking at it like, that's where like you can see they educated themselves on the value, right? But they didn't educate themselves on the condition of a book and how to grade a book. That is so very important.
No,
Like,
Yeah, I've seen
right?
that.
So,
I've
right. So
seen.
you can, there's two different, educate yourself on books of what they're worth, but educate yourself on how to grade a book and how the value is decreased based on condition, right? There's a lot of people that don't understand that will go in to an LCS with a torn up ASM 300 and think, and just been hearing, oh man, ASM 300, that's going for $2,000, and don't understand about getting it slabbed and they think it's raw and they got this piece of paper that, oh man, I'm going to get $500-600 for this. And it's like, that's where, like those people need some guidance, hey man, look, this is how you grade a book. And these are the defects that are going to take away the value of your book, right? And kind of explain the grading process. And then you can go from there. Said,
No, absolutely.
Well,
I'd like to give you fair market value for it, but like in the condition it's in, like I really can't make you an offer. I mean, that needs to be the language and the dialogue with
Well,
these
yeah,
new collectors.
I've seen that happen before too at my shop. Like, I was buying books, chatting with the shop owner, and then all of a sudden this person comes in. I don't know if they were regular or not, or if it was just like some random person coming in, and they had an important book. I don't remember what it was, but it was like beat to hell. Like, half the cover was missing, like it was water damaged, and exactly what you said. They knew the value of a high grade copy, but for a 0.5 or something like that, like it's kind of like, well, it's not really worth anything because it's barely a book.
Yeah, that is something that definitely comes up a lot, and that just comes with the hobby. Is that because we've all seen it before, whether it be people coming into an LCS or on Facebook being like, people be like, "Oh, these got to be near mint. They're still in the plastic. They've been in plastic the whole time," not knowing even the proper terminology, not realizing that like just because the comic's been in a bag, like especially a bag with no board, doesn't mean that you got a near mint copy and you're like, "Oh, this book looks perfect." Like and then you pull the shit out and it's like their spine ticks to all hell and stuff like that. Again, it is a double-edged sword. I'm not saying like, treat them like children and like, but it's educate. Like this hobby can only grow if we are willing to educate people. And again, if it ain't worth your time to teach somebody like, how to like do some basic grading of a comic, what the process should be for getting their stuff graded. Like if you ain't got time for that, then don't be that person. But also at the same time, if you're on like a Facebook group, it takes the same amount of time for you to like put a smart ass comment back to somebody that it does to educate them and inform them of like what they're missing. Like I pull people aside in private message and be like, "Hey, just a heads up, that book's not near mint. How many spine ticks?" Like send them links to like, CBSI where we have like, articles on how to grade a comic. Sent them to other posts on like how to grade comics and stuff from reputable websites. Just be like, here's some answers. Here's how you do this. People who have asked me questions, like I posted on Reddit before, like my pickups and stuff, and people are just like, "Oh man, I so want to get into," like people who are like, "Well, how'd you afford that book?" I was like, "I flipped into it," and they're like, "Can you tell me more about the flipping process?" And I keep a blurb that I just repost to people when they ask me about. I'm like, here is like flipping comics 101, basically. If you want to know more, then you can continue to research. But I wrote it one time and I share it with people because I'm like, I want to see this hobby grow. I don't want to see people feel like they can't be a part of this world because let's be real about it. We only have so many people to sell to if the hobby doesn't grow. And if there's not new buyers, then who the fuck are we going to sell these books to if you're trying to flip shit?
Absolutely.
Like
Well, I feel like the hobby is growing because there was always that rumor like at the beginning of the year, like, oh, sports cards people are coming into comics and stuff like that. And as we keep on collecting and selling to different people, I feel like that's actually kind of true. When you ask, when you just chit chat with someone, they're like, "Hey, so like, how long have you been collecting?" and blah blah blah. And then like, "Have you collected something beforehand?" And then it's like, a lot of times you hear like, sports cards was a big thing, and then it's like kind of like, I got priced out of it, so I moved on to a different hobby. And so I feel like that's kind of true.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to like promote like growth in the community and people, being more welcoming and not being gatekeepers on this hobby. Because again, like we all had to start somewhere. We all started from a place. And again, maybe you had the benefit of being a child when you got into this. So, people didn't call you stupid or dumb on a forum. Like you were standing in person and talking to somebody in the comic book shop. You had a friend or an older sibling or a parent who educated you on the ways of the comics. but that's just not the day and age we live in. So try to be good stewards in this hobby. Like try
So,
to, take care of people.
I told this story on Comic Book Food Chain. They asked me, what is my favorite book that I ever pressed or something like that. So this kid came into the LCS and he found this like a little collection inside a barn, right? He was doing like landscaping or whatever. And he had an Avengers 1, ASM 10. Uh, he had some heat, but I mean, it had issues, right?
Hmm.
And so the comic book guy was going to give him, like the owner was going to give him like I think 60, $70, and like I just looked over and somebody had told somebody had told him, hey, well, he fixes books, right? Like I'm a fixer, right? And I said, I don't fix it, And then he engaged me. He said, do you think you can do anything with these books? Because the owner had started talking to him about the condition of the book and lowballing them and everything. And I said, well, I can improve it, I can press it. And he goes, here, gives me all the book. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so what do you want to do? He goes, well, what do you think? And I go, well, I can press these books for you, but your best bet to protect your investment, your stash here is to get them sent off. And I go, I can press them and I could submit them for you, but like, I, and I was feeling good at the time. So like, dude, like $10, dude, and I'll press these for you. Just pay me for the subs and cut half the cost on my shipping. And so like the comic book owner was telling him that book was like a point 0.5, right? The Avengers one, it's probably one of my favorites. Like a little rat had chewed the corner of the book.
Mm.
Man, that bitch came back a 2.5, dude. Like, and he sold that book later on for $2,000. I always run into him, man. He goes, "Oh man, yeah," and he tells people like how I helped him out. And and you brought up a great word, Chris, and being a steward. And it's just like, like it's not going to kill you to just give a little, whether they take your advice or not. At least you did your part and try and give somebody some guidance into steering in the right, so they stay in the hobby, you know like, because it could be frustrating. They go, man, fuck it, I'm gonna quit collecting, because that's the thing. So but if you're a good steward and everybody helps out each other, you build this common community, and everybody's trading books, and they're making a little bit of money here and there to buy more books, or but like, just be a good person and help your fellow comic book collector out. It's not going to kill you,
No, absolutely.
and unless they're deliberately trying to compete with you, like, and beat you to the LCS to take those books before you have a chance to buy them. I don't know, but
Yeah.
like, just do your part and just be a good person, because
No, you're
karma's a
absolutely right.
real thing, man. Karma's a real thing, man. It's like, if you burn somebody, man, you may not get burned 1 year later or 2 years later, but man, it's funny how shit works its way out. So just be a good person.
Yeah. I've never regretted helping somebody out in this hobby. I've
Oh yeah.
had I've had it come full circle so many times where people have looked out for me, people have messaged me about books, like people that I took the time just to, random people who just like hit me up on, because of this show, hit me up on Instagram or hit me up on Facebook and just ask me questions or whatever. Like I've had people, you know, look out for me and be like, hey man, I got this book, and I really appreciate you. Like, are you interested in buying it? I'll cut you a great deal on it. Like I've had people, work out deals with me. I've had people look out for me. I mean, hell, like my old LCS, like they were not in, like they didn't deal in graded comics at all. So I basically became like their graded comic dude. Like anytime somebody brought something in graded, I got a phone call and it was like, help us price this stuff out. Like, is it something that makes sense? It doesn't make sense type situation. They didn't know anything about pressing, anything like that. They now have a CGC account. They now have, the guy, is starting to learn how to press now. Like that shop is fostering and growing because I wasn't an asshole and didn't try to take them for all they were worth. And when they asked me questions about stuff, I was willing to always like, tell them about it. Also, to like shout out to that shop because of the fact that they are like somebody. I think H&H brought up earlier. Aaron, will you highlight that comment of how many new collectors are you seeing at the cons from H&H Comics? So I'm not really seeing like I'm not sitting down and talking to people like that at the cons per se, but I'm seeing LCSs who are taking the approach of being good stewards for the hobby, growing that and new people, and starting with kids at a super young age. Because I talked about this before about people being like, oh, I don't really see kids like that at my LCS. I was like, my old LCS in Atlanta, shout out to Infinite Realities. They were about those kids. They were about growing a hobby. They were about being the people that they always wished they ran into when they were younger in this hobby. Because many of us went to like the gatekeeper asshole LCSs where you got like the Simpsons comic book dude running the shop, and they don't want to answer questions. They don't want to educate you. They don't give two shits about you. They just want your money. And so being at shops that like actually care about people and want to grow and foster the hobby at a very young age, getting kids into comics at a young age, is only going to be good for the hobby. So
I mean that's a great point. I mean, I was thrown into this hobby when I was like 7, 8 years old, working at my uncle's shop, and like there's nothing better than just a whole bunch of people being together and just talking about the latest issue of this or that and cracking jokes, and it's kind of like what we try and replicate here on YouTube. And but those are the best times, and you make new friends, and just building relationships, and that's truly the way you kind of grow this hobby, because then people feel good about that, and then they go back to the shop and they continue to buy. And but like when they feel like ostracized, and it's like, oh man, what are you doing, that's stupid, and like, don't you know what that's worth, are you serious? Like, and like, it's really easy to pick on people that aren't as educated in the hobby. I mean, that's easy. It's hard to be the steward, right? So like, just be a better person to other people at comic shops, and when you can help somebody out, help them out. It's no big deal at all.
One of my favorite things about this hobby is that everyone's background is so different, but we're all
Absolutely.
here for the same reason. You know what I mean? The enjoyment of of comics, of either like art, story, whatever, like whatever draws you to a comic book. Like, and to be, I think that's like one of the more important things about it too, right? That we can set aside all the differences in the world and then come here for a common reason.
Absolutely. Right. So like, you think about like when we were shut down for the pandemic and couldn't go to the movies, like that became like a rite of passage, just going to the next MCU movie, like, and like seeing people from the LCS, and like, like, I'll hold a spot in line for you, and someone you barely know, and you just talk comics with, and then you become good friends, and it's just like it's something special about this hobby. Like, pay it forward, man.
And one thing I heard that was a common factor from what a lot of people attending the Ringo Awards, like why the creators got into the comic game, was to get young readers to read books. Like it was all for that. And when I think back to elementary school, the one of the things that got me interested in reading was comic books.
same.
So yeah.
So like Todd McFarlane, and I think I've said this before, and it was on an old like VHS tape on when I first started following McFarlane, I think early '90s, and he brought up the comic books are the only medium where a child will see a word he does not understand and will go get a dictionary to try and find out what that word means, so that he can, you know, understand the full context of what that person is talking about. And I was like, wow, that kind of blew me away as far as that is a thing. Like I remember trying to read Alan Moore Swamp Thing, it's like it was pretty deep, man. And I go, maybe I'm too stupid to read this. I probably was, but yeah, I mean, the more young readers you can get into the hobby, the better, and the better they'll be. They'll be able to read. They'll be able to understand. When they go to school, reading will be like nothing to them. It's literacy.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I remember is, do y'all remember the episode of The Simpsons where Alan Moore actually showed up?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's like, so you like how I created your favorite comic book character into a heroin addict and like all this other stuff, blah 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 blah. And then Bart's just like, no, I just like looking at the pictures.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think we might be getting close to wrapping it up, but like ultimately, this episode was just something that was kind of like weighing on my conscience, and like with everything that's seemingly gone on in the world for like the last like at this point damn near 2 years, like there's a lot of like just stupid lines getting drawn in the sand over shit in comics. Like at the end of the day,
what's the worst thing you've seen online, Chris, that just really pissed you off?
As far as comics are concerned, or in
no,
general?
As far as like like in the chat, like in chats where you could tell it's a newbie and he's just getting into the hobby. And
I mean, just like people just going after somebody's neck, basically, just being like, just like going out their way to post like a fucking basically a page-long narrative just to shit on this person for not knowing, like, and then going and making a secondary post to be like, oh man, all these people who just want to like fake flex in the groups and stuff. There's no way that they found this group, didn't know what they had, blah blah blah, that the other. And I'm just like, and then people just like came out of the woodwork being like, yeah, I joined this group because I came into a collection and I've been lurking for like the last 3 years learning. And that's how I learned. And like, yeah, just because I wasn't willing to, because I didn't want to get embarrassed, I didn't say anything, and I just had to sit there quietly and learn the hard way. And other people are like, yeah, I came back in the hobby in the last 4 years. Like people are saying in the comments, being like, oh, I came back in the hobby in the last 4 years, and it was a steep learning curve. And I hadn't read comics since like, the early 2000s or the late 90s. And like getting into this whole like, graded comic thing and, business was a really steep learning curve. And, it was just many, many people coming in being like, and somebody posted that meme being like, when you thought that your post was gonna go a different way. But it was this dude just was so presumptuous that like for that people in the hobby just like, you wouldn't be in this group unless you knew what you were doing. And I'm like, no, like this is the purpose that this group serves, is to educate people on the hobby. Like if you want to be in an echo chamber, that's cool. And people are like, yeah, if you want a group where it's only people who know everything about comics, you go make a new group. But the moderator group was like, this group is for people to ask questions and to not be like made shitty and like posted like the groups, like the Facebook groups, like rules and stuff. And it was like, don't be a dick was one of them. And it's like straight up, it's like I watch people like lose their love for comics and like, because of Facebook groups, and like lose their love of a car because of Facebook groups and people on the internet. Because everybody want to be a fucking tough guy on the internet, but wouldn't dare say some of this shit to anybody's face in person. But everybody want to be like, people want to be keyboard warriors and sit behind some shit and anonymously talk shit about people and be like, I feel like a tough guy now because I talk shit about a fucking 16-year-old or a 14-year-old in a group on a Facebook group. Like, no, you're an asshole. And so that's the type of shit that I hate bullies. I hate bullies. I hate people who pick on people. And the world is a better place if you just put forth some time to educate and have a conversation with somebody and be civil. Like nobody ever got anywhere by being a fucking asshole to everyone they meet and like, treating people without respect.
Yeah, that's very true. And, if people contact me like on Instagram or whatever, I try to answer questions as best as possible. Like, you know what I mean? Like just individually. Like, you know, I don't mind taking time out of my day to help someone because that's the same thing. I started early into the hobby, got out, got back in, and so someone went out of their way to answer my questions, and so I feel like I had to like kind of return the favor of like, hey, someone answered the questions for me. You know, I did my research. Like, here's what I found useful for me to like expand my knowledge. And I feel like that's something also that's important is to always be open-minded enough to learn something else from someone else's perspective, because I mean, like, how else are you going to expand your knowledge and like just keep on growing as a collector and keep the hobby interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a new collector, like don't be the person that just thinks they know it all. You know, like be a sponge and learn more. Like like I still learn. I learned from my team here at Flipside. You know, it's like, wow, I didn't know that. You know, so like you'll never know everything. If you knew everything, well, like, you probably wouldn't be watching the show or being on the show. And but there's always things you can learn. Always things you can learn.
Yep.
But,
Thank you, Cantankerous L. Appreciate that.
Cantankerous, yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you so much.
So, what are
All
we
right.
what are we gonna use that $10 on, man? Let's go buy a book.
Probably like a giveaway, right?
Yeah, we do a giveaway. There you go. You know
Yeah.
what? We got to start like next. I don't know. Me and Chris and Aaron we'll plan it, but like, let's get some books away, man. I
Yeah, we've been talking about doing that anyways. So like, yeah, we should plan out something for like in the next couple weeks.
yeah, we've got
Oh, beer money.
some
That works.
loyal people that take time to watch our show, man. Let's get some books away.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I might, you know what? I got some slabs that are coming back, and maybe you never know. I might do something stupid and like, you know, we do a giveaway for something like that.
Damn,
shit.
dude.
Who
Damn.
knows?
Will I have a chance?
I will
Hold
put
up,
my
man.
comment in.
Hey, bro, hold up, bro.
You never know. We might throw up some fun stuff. I got
Yeah,
some
this is
stuff
a
in the
feel
box.
good show, man. Like, hey, let's not give away the farm, baby.
You know,
mean,
I got a book. I definitely think that might be worth giving away. It's a ghost, and it might be something that somebody might actually want. So, you know, I'll pull that out and throw it up and we'll see what happens.
Hell yeah,
Shit.
man.
I mean, I'm finally getting my CGC submission in too, and I know I sent some duplicates in, so like there might be something in there that
Yeah.
I'm just like kind of like, or something I graded recently, you know, because I use both companies.
Well, we'll pick like a monster night. If you guys throw in a slab, I'll throw in a slab. How
Oh
about
shit!
I
The
love
night of
it.
the slabs.
that? We could do 3 winners, or we can do one full jackpot winner, man. You know, we can just like we got to figure out how to do this.
We'll talk backstage and figure out the logistics of that. But I feel
Yeah.
like 3 winners would be better than just one jackpot winner,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we coincided with the lead into the holiday season, so somebody has.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
that'd be
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Hell yeah, that'd be real.
so yeah,
good.
maybe we plan it out because I think we might go dead air. Or at least I may not be around for the holiday season because I'm gonna try and be out traveling and seeing family and doing that whole thing. So
Yep, that's understandable.
yeah,
All right.
maybe we get it done in like mid-December.
All right.
Cool.
Well, let's go ahead and call it. Great discussion all around. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in for the Prospect 10 and Roundtable discussion. Make sure to hit those likes and like and subscribe buttons and everything. And yeah, we'll catch you on the flip side.